Hey everybody, it's Addie here, and I am here with my book of the week. And so, like I said last week, I was going to be reading Broken, and I finished it. And this book is an autobiography written with the help of Catherine Ketchum. The author is William Cope Moyers, and it's his story of addiction and ultimately redemption. And so this book was about 372 pages long, and I am actually really impressed that I read it really quickly. I would say it took me a total of like 13 hours, maybe less. That sounds like a lot. Maybe 10 to finish this book. And what I'm learning is it honestly doesn't take a week to read a book, but I gave myself a week, so I have all this time to try and finish it. But it only takes me a couple days here and there reading it to finish. So I'm going to go ahead and read the back and then talk about the book. So one evening in 1994, William Cope Moyers was lying flat on his back on the floor of an Atlanta crack house at the end of a 4-day cocaine binge, while his father, veteran journalist Bill Moyers, frantically searched for him. In this haunting memoir, William shares the incredible and harrowing story of how he got from there to where he is today, a recovered addict and a family man who has dedicated himself to those who continue to struggle with the merciless influence of addictive drugs. Candid, shocking, and unforgettable, Broken is a clear-eyed, unromanticized tale that offers hope for all those wrestling with addiction and has already inspired thousands of people to step forward and ask for help. This book is part of my class reading. We have to read an autobiography and write a paper about it. And so I chose this one out of a list. And just some background, I'm taking a substance use treatment class. And so I'm having to learn, first of all, before I can help treat people with substance use problems, I have to learn what it's like on the other side. So reading this kind of book is great to really introduce you to that other side of what it looks like. It was pretty intense, I would say. If you're someone your life has been touched by addiction, whether that's you personally or someone you know, a friend or a family member that you've seen struggle with addiction, this book would really speak to you and really talks about the process of it and the ideas behind it, and it talks about the misconceptions people have about drugs. And so just a part with this in my class, I'm learning that just different things about drugs. And so it was just interesting to read this and get that perspective. I would rate this book an 8. I love books that tell a story. So if it's like a textbook, I'm going to get bored really easily. But if it tells a story, if it's gripping, if it's captivating, if it speaks to my heart, I love those kinds of books. So I don't have any quotes from the book, but I will just say that if that side of life is very unfamiliar to you and you have no clue about drug addicts, you have no clue about people that get addicted to drugs or alcohol, I would read this and get some clarity. It just brings a lot of clarity in on what really goes on in their minds when it's happening. And in this book, he actually had to go to rehab 4 times before he stuck with it, before it stuck. And so it really is a process. It really does take a whole community. It really takes a whole group, family, to help that individual. And on the other hand, you think about people that don't have that support, that don't have those programs, that don't have the money, that don't have the resources. It's so much harder for them to stay sober and what that looks like. And it's a whole thing. And so at least from reading this book, when I come across clients that are maybe struggling with this, then I'm going to have less of a stigmatized and stereotypical idea of what they're going through, and I'm going to see it in a different lens. And I think that's something that everyone needs to work through is being able to take on someone's perspective and see it in a different lens. Even if that person is like a murderer, like seeing it in their eyes, seeing like what led them to do what they did, because there's always a reason behind everything. And so definitely eye-opening, and definitely a book to expand your perception of what you believe is right or wrong in the world, and how things function. So this is a great book, a great read. I really enjoyed it. It took me 2 days to read it, and it was about 370 pages. So that's my end for next week, or for this past week, and starting up, and I already started this book because I'm really excited. And I will tell you next week where I found this book, because you're going to be shocked. Next week I'm going to be reading, or I've started, but for the end of next week I'm going to have read Lighting Their Fires, How Parents and Teachers Can Raise Extraordinary Kids in a Mixed Up, Muddled Up, Shook Up World. And so if you guys don't know, I'm a preschool teacher. I teach 3s and 4s, and I taught 4th grade prior to this, and I've worked in the school system. So this is something that I'm just super excited to get into. I'm probably going to finish it early in this week. But that's next week, so I just wanted to give you a little snippet, a little highlight. But this was the book I read this week. And like I said before, if you want to expand your perception on different individuals from yourself, different from how you grew up, from what you knew, dive into it. This is a great book, especially if you're working in that field of addictions counseling or anything along those realms. Even if you're working, in institutions and things like that, hospitals, I would definitely recommend to read this book. I think that is it. Tried to keep this one short and sweet, and I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.